Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going? This is a different topic today, guys. Welcome in. Please do me a favor and drop where you are watching from. The city, state, country where you guys are watching from. I am reporting from Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Richard Barricat, guys. If you guys are watching me for the first time, I cannot assume that you are a regular viewer of the Mbarikat podcast. But if you're watching for the first time, my name is Rich Mbarikat. I am a Nigerian-born, US-based entrepreneur. I own the Mbarikat YouTube channel, also own Mbarikat.com. We are a platform for US Nigeria investing. Thank you and welcome to today's podcast. Hope everyone is doing well. 2 more days till Christmas. I got the last of my shopping done yesterday. So I'm going to relax today. But after we've talked about this very important topic, my Nigerian dad passed away in San Antonio, Texas. I'm going to tell you guys my story on how I was able to transport him back home to Nigeria and gave him a befitting burial in the village. So, this is my story that I want to share with you guys. So if you're a Nigerian living abroad like myself, this is a conversation we avoid until it is urgent. Village burial or abroad burial for your parents. What would your family choose? And have you talked about it with your family and with your parents? Share your thoughts respectfully in the chat. But before I get into it, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory so that everything makes sense. Because without this backstory, a lot of things wouldn't make sense. So I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of a backstory about my dad. So prior to my dad's death in 2020, my dad passed away during the pandemic, in the beginning of the early stages of the pandemic. So prior to that, we had been estranged for 16 years. I'm talking about we would go stretches, 5 year stretch without talking, 2 year stretch, 3 year stretch. Combined, a total of 16 years went by in total estrangement. But before that, we've had a interesting relationship for 30 years, from the age of 12 to the age of 42. I can honestly sit today and say that my father and I were not in good terms. I loved my dad. My dad brought me to the United States. I wasn't born here. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. Loved my dad. My dad brought me to the United States when I was 11, 6 weeks to my 12th birthday. So at least I got to give him that. But then it was downhill. The moment I arrived in the United States, the life that I'd always dreamt about as a kid wasn't my reality. My dad had a lot of discipline issues. See me, I'm super disciplined today, the complete opposite of my father. My father was an impulsive person. I'm not bashing my dad in this because one day my children are gonna watch this video, my grandchildren are gonna watch this video, my lineage are gonna watch this video. So I'm not bashing my dad by any means. I am just speaking my own reality. So my father was very impulsive. He made decisions without thinking things through. He didn't have what I would call the discipline of behaviors. My dad was successful in his own right. He was a forensics clinical psychologist for the Texas Department of Corrections. He worked for the Texas Department of Corrections for over 25 years, and he retired as a clinical forensics psychologist. So my dad studied behaviors. He worked with a lot of, like I said, he worked for the prison system. So he worked with a lot of criminals with psychological issues. So my father really, day out and day in, worked in the psychological behavioral space. But it didn't align with his behaviors. It was really odd. So as a result, and I don't know where I got this from. I don't know where my discipline came from, but I can tell you that it did not come from my father. A lot of the things that I learned to do today, I learned as a result of what not to do. So it wasn't as if my father took me and trained me and taught me certain things or taught me how to be a man. I had to learn how to tie my own shoes myself. I had to learn how to tie a tie myself. So a lot of the basic father son teachings that you would expect, I did not get that. So you see the way that I am today with my daughters behind me. I'm very intentional. Essentially, I became the father that I always wanted. But let me tell you a little bit of what I would probably say some memories. Not gonna lie, there were some good memories, and I tried to remember those memories as opposed to all of the negativity. So the good memories were when I came to Texas at the age of 11, 12. I came to Texas May 10th, 1990. I turned 12 6 weeks later, well, 5 weeks later, June 16th of 1990. I remember at the very early stages, just fish out of water, going from Lagos, Nigeria, eating ewa going, malnutrition. And then I came to the United States, and my earliest memories of my dad was I remember we used to, on weekends, because my dad worked Monday to Friday. And then on weekends, he and I would walk up and down the roads of Texas, picking up used cans and used bottles that people littered on the roadside. Now, you may ask me, Rich, why were you picking up used cans and used bottles and trash on the roadside with your father on weekends? It was because back then, the state of Texas, maybe not the entire state, but the county that I lived in, Palestine, I forget the county. If you guys know, let me know. They had a recycling program in the county where the residents of that county, if they want and if they choose to, they can help clean up the city. So, what happens with the recycling program was we would go, we would pick up trash on the road, we would take it to the recycling plant, they will weigh it, and they will get paid for it. That was our way of helping to, one, clean up the streets, and two, make some extra money. Of course, my dad didn't need the money. It wasn't for him, it was for me. Because what does a 12-year-old kid want? He wants toys, he wants video games. I think at that time I had the first original Nintendo. I was playing Mario Brothers and Luigi. I needed some basic things a 12-year-old kid would want. So my dad at least taught me how to work for a living and how to earn money While my friends were out there playing, I was with my dad on weekends. That was what we did. That bonded us. Just two people, father and son, with trash bags and gloved hands, picking up trash on the roadside for recycling. Then I get paid. I don't even know how much it was, but a 12-year-old kid, $10 was probably $1 million to me at that time. I don't know if they still do that program anymore, though, the recycling program in rural Texas. But my father and I bonded over that. See, it's the little things, guys, that counts. It's not the money that you make for parents like myself. Your children just want you to spend time with them. And I catch myself occasionally when I'm feeling too tired and I just am not in the mood, and my kids want me to jump with them on the trampoline. Daddy, daddy, play with us, jump with us, carry us, lift us. I always remember, like, out of all of the things, my earliest memories was just the little time that I spent with my dad picking up trash. So, what I do now is on the trampoline, because I'm not going to jump with my daughters on the trampoline. So, I just lay down on the trampoline and let them jump over me or let them run around me. I'll ball up in a fetal position and just have them run around me on the trampoline. It may last 10 minutes, it may last 15 minutes. Usually I set the timer for about 15 minutes and say, okay, once that timer goes off, I want to get off of this cold trampoline. But it's just the little things. My father also took me to see a lot of movies. Die Hard 1. Remember Die Hard 1 with Bruce Willis? That was my first action movie in the United States. I went with my dad to Tyler, Texas. And I've shared the story with you guys in the past about my dad driving me to the prison to get my haircut. 2 hours to the prison, 2 hours back, 45-minute haircut. Although I hated those road trips, but there's just something about a father and a son. Hello, Laja. Something about a father and a son on a road trip. 4 hours together. It was bonding. It was a bonding experience. And I'll share one more memory with you. We used to pick pecans. Laja, you may know what pecans are. I don't know where you live, Laja, but I grew up in Texas. I lived a little bit in Texas. We would go and pick up pecans that are falling from the tree, and then we'll take it home and get those little cracker jacks and crack those pecans. Those were the earliest memories of my dad. The little things, the basic things. He took me fishing. Remember that the slogan back then was get hooked on fishing, not on drugs. I used to have a shirt that read get hooked on fishing, not on drugs. My dad would take me fishing. Basic little things, guys. If you're a parent, it's the little things that matter. These are the memories that our children are going to remember. They're not going to remember the fancy toys. They're not going to remember the trips. They're not going to remember the big house and the big cars for those of you who are competing. They're going to remember the time that you've spent with them. So I always catch myself. I am never ever too busy. And that's why it's always good to have a loving, supportive spouse. My wife, Kate, will always, when I feel so busy and I'm so tired, she will always tell me, Rich, spend time with your children, your daughters, and I'll drop everything that I'm doing and I'll pick them up. Today I did squats with Nelly. I had her on my shoulder just doing squats with her. It lasted for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. My legs are sore right now as I'm sitting down speaking to you. But it's the little things. Reading to your children, the little things is what they'll remember. The point I'm getting at is this. I don't want my children, my daughters. We're not having any more kids. We're done. These two right here, hopefully they'll give me grandchildren when they're older to do so. And once I'm done raising my daughters, I will roll over and I'll help raise my grandkids. That's the kind of life that I want for myself. But along the way, something went awry, something went wrong. We stopped spending time together. The picking up cans stopped. The going to the movies stopped. It was not my decision because I was a minor. I didn't have any right to stop anything. Something went wrong. 30 years later, because of the mismatch of behaviors, like I said, I don't know where I got my behavior from. I've always been very strict and very disciplined. I've always been a guy or a kid at that time that knew boundaries. I believe in boundaries. My dad had none. So for 30 years, I can probably count on one hand. And then some might say, well, Rich, there might have been other memories that you don't remember. And that's true. That's valid. But the memories that I remember are very few and far between. So I'll give you one more, and then we'll get into the topic of today. And this is probably what really precipitated the reason why my dad ended up in the village. For as long as I can remember, I started knowing right from wrong at the tender age of about 4 years old. That was my earliest memories of life, where I knew who my mom was, I knew my grandparents were, I knew who my dad was at the age of maybe three, maybe three and a half or so. That's usually when you start developing memories. One of the earliest memories of my dad in Nigeria was his love for the village. When you see my love for the village today, it came from somewhere. One of the earliest memories, my dad loved the village. He came to the US in the late 70s. My dad came to the US in 77. Like clockwork, for the next 40 something years, my father went home every 2 years, literally like clockwork. My dad didn't go longer than 2 years, even as a student at Texas Southern University. My father always made it back home. My earliest memories, he would come pick me up in Lagos because my parents were never married. They got together and they had me. So I'm an only child for my dad, between my mom and dad. But I recall at a young age, 4, my dad would land from the US, grab me in Lagos, straight to the village. Back then, Nigeria had maybe one airline. We didn't drive. I started flying at the age of like 3 or 4 years old. And I remember the earliest years in the village of me sitting on top, those motorcycles. They put me on top of the gas tank, and you are bubbling up and down the bad roads of the village. And as soon as you pull up, I will see my grandfather. My grandfather was a doctor, the only doctor in that entire Korobasi. My grandfather will come out with chewing stick. Eh? To welcome us, he'll come out with chewing stick in his mouth and his wrapper, no shirt too. No shirt. Just wrapper and chewing stick. Hey, Amos, that's my grandson. And my dad enjoyed the village. And when he's there, they will power on the generator. My dad brought the village to life for the short period that he was there visiting. My dad didn't stay in Lagos and all those fancy places. Yeah, maybe you go and visit people, but he always ended up in the village, and he always brought me and my mom. Although they were not together, my mom still came. And I have to give my mom credit for it. You see, you don't have to be with your boyfriend if you have a child out of wedlock. You make it about the child. My mom understood the importance of me connecting with where my father was from. So they set their differences aside. And my mom brought me to the village, even though she was not with my father. I ran around that same village today that I'm investing in. I used to own that place. I would run around the whole place. When I was a kid, up and down, there's no place in that village that I don't know. And when my dad was done, he'll return to the US. 2 years later, we'll repeat the process. So in a way, I grew up. Yes, I'm a city boy, but I'm also a village boy to a degree. My dad loved the Mbariket homestead. He loved Ikorobiokoi. My earliest visions, I would see my father and my grandfather standing next to each other. They are both wearing their wrapper and talking. It's my earliest memories. So he had a strong bond and a strong ties to Akwa Ibom State. Back then it was Cross River. It wasn't even Akwa Ibom yet. So that's a bit of a backstory. Now let's fast forward to the estrangement part. Like I said, we were estranged for 16 years. It wasn't as if we didn't talk here and there. Occasionally, the phone will ring. Ah, Rich, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. Okay, hope everything is okay. Yes, everything is okay. Hang up, hang up. We'll go another 5 years without talking. And then as he got older, I started getting those calls like, oh, your father is in hospital. Like his girlfriend would call me. Shonda, that's her name. Still close with her till today. Shonda, if you're watching this, thank you for everything that you did. Occasionally, Shonda will call me. Oh, your father is in a hospital. And I knew that I didn't have to worry much because I really respected Shonda. Oh, is he okay? Yes, it's fine. Okay, all right. That was the end of that. And then we'll go 2 or 3 years without talking. Or I'll go 2 or 3 years without hearing from him. Other things happened during that time that I'm not going to get into. But I'm going to share. So before we go further, I just want to ask, are you having these conversations with your parents? See, my dad died when I was 42 years old. My dad had me when he was 27. I had my first child when I was 38. So if you are abroad, US, Canada, UK, watching this and you have parents living abroad, have you guys had this conversation? You see, my story may not be yours. Maybe your parents are okay with being buried in the United States or being buried abroad. You see, my father and I never had that conversation because we weren't close enough to have that conversation. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to lead you guys now that I've given you a little of a backstory. The points I'm trying to get to before we go deep into this is that we weren't close. My father was almost a stranger in my adulthood. Honestly speaking, I don't think I knew him. And honestly speaking, I don't think my father knew me. But I'm the eldest of his children. I'm the first son after my mom. Yes, my parents were never married, they were just dating and had me. So I'm not going to fool myself and say they were married because I don't have a marriage certificate. So my father was never married to my mom. But after my mom, he went on a spree. That was part of the problem too. Marriage, marriage, marriage. Women, women, women. Children, children, children. It was also part of the problem. What led to the estrangement? I love my siblings, my half brothers and sisters. I have three out, there's four of us. We're all here. I'm here in Nevada. My sister, my older sister, is in Minnesota. We see them every year. My younger sister is in Minnesota. I'm 10 years older than her. We see them every year. My brother Nathan and my sister Terriana are both in Texas. I haven't seen them in I haven't seen Nathan in 5 years, but Terriana came to Vegas to visit us 2 or 3 years ago. See, there's no issue with my siblings. To be quite honest with you, there's no issue with my stepmothers. No issue. So the bottom line is when shit hit the fan, my father and I were not close. That's another thing, too, I want to tell you guys. Look, last week, because so my father went off, married three women, had my siblings. Then my mother went off, married my stepfather, had siblings. I have siblings on my mom's side that I love dearly. But anyway, one of my brothers in Nigeria texted me the other day and said, Rich, your uncle Jacob, you guys have heard that Jacob story now. The one that used to leave me to go to prayer meeting for 3 days when I was a kid. That he wanted my number. Jacob that I haven't spoken to for 31 years. All of a sudden wants my number. No. I rejected it and I told my brother why. Because he needed to know. 31 years combined, no contact. I've had less contact with him in my 47 years of life than I have more contact. I said no. My mom called him. My mom called her own brother and said, Richard said no. But you know what Jacob did? I don't know whether he looked me up on the internet. I don't know whether he reached my. And by the way, I also message my cousins in the United States. Like, if this guy comes and starts asking for my number, don't give it out. But something happened one way or another. This guy, after I've said no, after I've told them to communicate the reason why, and after my mom even called him, her own brother, and said, Richard is not interested, this man still found a way to obtain my phone number and send me a Merry Christmas message. Are you crazy? I love my uncle, nothing against him, but man, I am all about boundaries. I wish my uncle well. But there is just, after 31 years, there's just no relationship to reconnect to. The only criteria that I gave my brother was, and again, I'm in no place to advise Jacob, but Jacob needs to go and reconcile with his children first. before he can attempt. You see, that's my prerequisite. Me, let me tell you, there's a see, I have a very small, close circle. Because of what I went through as a child, I do not allow anybody in my orbit, and I have a very small orbit, that does not have a working relationship with their children. I'm not saying be a millionaire, be rich. I'm not saying that. You must have a working, good relationship with your children. Otherwise, we know they talk, we know they yarn, we know get business. That's the importance of relationships, especially with your children. You see, if you are beefing with your brothers and sisters, I don't care about that one. If you are beefing with your mother and father, I don't care about that one. That's okay. But you cannot be beefing with your own children and expect to be talking to me. That is where I draw the line. That is where I draw the line. So before I go into this any further, let me look into these charts and see what's up. Where is Nelly? Laja say, where is Nelly? Wifey says hello. She has been bothering me. Oh, Madame wants a baby girl after her triplet boys. Now me no hungry. Listen, Nelly. Okay, so my wife and my daughters went to Kate's friend. They have children my daughter's age, so that's where they went. They're just going to spend like a little. They're going out for lunch. Actually, they'll be home for dinner. So yeah, Nelly is not bothering me today. I'm good. I'm by myself in the office. Elijah, your problem is this. Fourth one is not guaranteed to be a girl, but I can see why your wife wants a girl. Let me tell you, I'm the only man in this house. There's a feeling about being the only guy in this house. You see, I don't get competition. I have my wife here, my daughters here. Everybody's just loving up on me. I will never ever know what it's like for a son to love me. But I'm telling you, the love that my daughters give me every single day is more than I ever imagined because I never had that with my dad. Because my dad was not around. I grew up literally without my dad. You see, he did his part though. He came every 2 years. But coming every 2 years on vacation is one thing. Living in the same house with your children, waking up with your children, going to bed with your children, when they come crying to you because they are afraid of the dark or because they woke up because of a nightmare in the middle of the night, guys, stay with your family. I mean, stay home and raise your children. Be a part of their life. There is no feeling that will ever substitute the love that my daughters have for me. Because they depend on me for care, they depend on me for protection, they depend on me and my wife. We are a team. You see, this family is not that stupid Nigeria thing that you guys are doing in Nigeria. My wife and I, we are partners. We co-parent together. When Kate cooks, I wash the damn dishes. As a matter of fact, Kate doesn't wash the dishes. I do. When she's in the kitchen washing the dishes, I tell her to put the damn dishes down that I got it. We also have a dishwasher, yes. But the big pots and pans, like these little plates and tumblers, that goes in the dishwasher. But the pots and pans, I wash the dishes. I take out the trash. Kate is the cook in the house. She handles most of the cooking and the grocery shopping. Man, I'll tell you guys. There was one time Kate sent me to the grocery store to go and buy. I think she was sick that day. She said, okay, we need this and that. So we need this. Oh boy. I entered grocery store. I was lost. I had to call my wife via FaceTime, like, okay, is this what you need? Is that because Kate is the one that handles the grocery shopping in this household? Honestly, me, I don't know what to buy. I have my basics. I have the coffee, I have honey, I have milk. I have basic things that I like, my protein and my steaks and my fish and all that stuff. But all the other stuff, man, you see, is that partnership that I'm talking about. All those old school rubbish. Sitting at home, your wife is cooking, your wife is cleaning, your wife is washing the dishes, your wife is taking out the trash, your wife is taking care of the kids, your wife is driving them to school because you are calling yourself a Nigerian man. Look, I told you guys this. It's just recently, when Jeanette turned 6.5, was when she started lotioning herself. And it was natural. One day, my daughter just told me, Daddy, don't touch me. I just want to lotion myself. Prior to that, when Kate gives them a bath, I'm the one that puts cocoa cream and lotion on them. I still do it with Nelly, and I'm loving every second of it. From the moment my children were born, Kate will do the bath, I'll do the lotioning. Bonding, that pheromone. So Nelly is turning 4 in a week. So I got 2.5 years with Nelly before she would just give me that stiff hand and say, Daddy, don't touch me anymore. I just want lotion myself. You got to be hands-on with your children. That partnership matters. More than anything, that respect. And you got to know your spouse. I've known Kate now. We've been together for 9 years, married for 8. There is not a single night that I don't give her a glass of water to drink before she goes to bed. You see now, because that she likes that. Kate doesn't sleep without having it's not a glass though. She has like a container. She just wants fresh ice water every night. It's not as if she told me. I just picked up on it and I've been doing it every night for 9 years. You see, now I did it last night, but occasionally it's Jeanette that does it now because she knows that mommy likes water. So Jeanette will just go, take the thing, fill up the water, and go and give it to her. Or I'll fill it up, I'll give it to her to go and put it on the bedstand. You see, most of you want weddings. You don't want the marriage aspect. You just want weddings. I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna kill 50 cows and invite 2,000 people that don't care about you. But people skip the marriage part of it, the partnership part. 50-50 partnership. You gain the respect of your spouse that way. The man can't, and for ladies, the man can't be doing everything while you just sit there. And for the men, your spouse can't be doing everything while you just sit there with one hand here, another hand holding the remote control, playing video games. For those of you who are into that crap, or watching sports. It's a 50-50 partnership. And the key thing is earning the trust of your significant other. That's number one. Number two is earning the trust of your children. One of the worst things you can destroy is the trust of your kids. Don't let anybody lie to you. And you see, my daughters are at an age now where they will have for the rest of their lives, they will have memories of me. So I have to be mindful of how I treat their mother. I play with my wife. Now where they play? I play with my wife. She'll just be standing there. I'll just tickle her, and then I'll play with her, and then the girls will just rush in and tackle me, and I'll tackle. I mean, we have a very nice, honestly speaking. I am fulfilled. Do we argue here and there? Do we disagree here and there? Of course, we disagree here and there. Do the girls catch our little arguments here and there? Yes. But when we notice that the girls are listening, or maybe they just stumbled upon us, maybe we were arguing about something stupid, we'll just call the girls and say, hey, listen, mommy and daddy are just talking. We are not fighting. And honestly, it's not even fighting, it's more of an elevated talking. But we get along 98% of the time. And guys, that is why harmony is important. If you don't have harmony, you don't have a home, you just have a house. You gotta have harmony. And harmony comes with pitching in, carrying your own weight in the family, your own weight in the relationship, helping out, cooking. There are sometimes Kate doesn't, she just does not feel like it. Me, I could just enter, throw small bone on top fire. Or if Kate is not feeling like it, and I am not feeling like it, this is something we rarely do. We'll just order pizza. So we rarely, but we'll just order pizza because we are, "Oh, I'm not feeling it today, babe. I'm not feeling, let's just order takeout for the night." And then we go so far, man, because that pizza is actually bad for us. And we know that, okay, this one that we've just eaten pizza now, that means we got to exercise the next day and this. But it's that harmony. You guys are rushing into relationships for no damn reason. And I'm not saying you got to date somebody for a significant amount of time. You don't know somebody just by dating them. You know people by actually living with them. So it's important for you, men, especially, I'm talking to men, choose wisely your partner. Some of you, you're still playing stupid games. You want to have 20 girls on the side, your wife at home. You want to have all these multiple women. Squalor of behaviors, dirty behaviors. I'm going to talk about that in another episode. There's a direct correlation between poverty and squalor of behaviors. I go carry on enter zone one I never entered before. There's also a direct correlation between wealth and discipline of behaviors. That one a different topic. That one, you see, that one is going to be a 2026 podcast. 2026 podcast. You guys are thinking, Poverty, Niger. Let me tell you something. Poverty is not the lack of money, it's the lack of discipline. Behaviors. People are saying, I don't want to enter it. Let me save it. Let me save it for another day. So, how many minutes am I in? I'm what? 45 minutes. I have not even broached the topic yet. I drove my dad and uncle at the age of 17 from Waco to Dallas. And knowing driving class of all time. Make this boy not kill me, or put your two hands on the steering wheel. Look front. I sometimes overcompensate with the kind of love I show my kids. I don't want them to experience that Niger traumatic style of parenting. 100% I am with you. Listen, I tell my kids every day and my wife every day that I love them. I don't think I ever heard love until I was in my adulthood from my dad, and I didn't believe it. My mom is still alive. She's in Nigeria. My mom have never said those three words to me. I love you. She's never said it. Does it mean she doesn't love me? No. It's just the Nigerian culture. We don't shower our children. You got to reassure your kids with those words. I love you. You see, sometimes Nelly will just out of the blue, for no rhyme or reason, she'll just come. Daddy, yes, Nelly, I love you. I love you too, Nelly. And then she'll just turn and walk away. Jeanette does the same thing. Out of the blue, for no rhyme or reason, they'll just come and tell me and Kate, Mom, Dad, I love you. And then they'll walk away. Because we do the same to them for no rhyme or reason. I can just be sitting here reading a book. And by the way, talking about book, get a copy of this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It will change your life. You see, the America platform is about investing. On a basic foundational standpoint, this book, I don't know Ledger or Active Blood Dodger, if you've read this book, over 4 million copies sold by George S. Gleason. Is it Gleason or Classen? Classen. The original edition of The Richest Man of Babylon is only 90 not even 90 pages. Yeah, let's just say 90 pages. End to end. Put this in your library, guys. Listen, guys, start building your library as well. Start building your library as well. So I have behind me books. I have across from me books. Build your library. This guy is reading sports magazine and GQ. That's nothing. That's rubbish. Read books like The Richest Man in Babylon. Read books like Think and Grow Rich. Read books like on business strategy. There's one right there called Business Strategy. There's one up there called How to Read a Book. There's actually a science on how to read. People think it's just it's just reading line by line. There's actually a science on how to actually read and gain the most out of a book. But before I go any further, let me go ahead and get into this topic. CJ, welcome. I show up to their baseball games and art shows. That's good. Let me tell you something about that one. So for our kids are, at least Nelly is not into anything right now because she's too young. But Jeanette has been in soccer. She has been in cheerleading. What else has Jeanette been in? I'm trying to get her into horse riding, equestrian. Jeanette has done golf. I'm trying to get her into horse riding. But Kate is blocking that one, saying it's too expensive. But I just want my children to be active. So my kids don't play baseball. If anything, maybe they'll play softball at some point. But yes, good for you. Show up. It's all about showing up. Art shows. My kids are not there yet. But I'm a creative guy. I have a little bit of mostly the art in our home is Nigerian sculptures and Nigerian art though. But I appreciate art. So Active Dodger said, my dad fell ill and we brought him to the States. When the doctors gave him a time frame a week after he arrived, we flew him back to Nigeria. We dodged the cost of repatriation. Wow, that's good. How long did you have? And also Active, is your father still around or has he passed on? I removed WhatsApp and Telegram this morning. I hate when people just contact you out of the blues when they need something. Okay, I have WhatsApp, but very limited though communication. Like I talk to my brothers and my sister, my mom occasionally, but most people I don't really engage. I've actually blocked a lot of people. There's a lot of blocked WhatsApp numbers on my phone. Blocked. Or if I don't block them, I just hide them or mute them. Going grocery shopping alone as a is a bad, as a man, I'm assuming that's what you meant, is a bad idea. I'm telling you, I don't enjoy it. When I'm into let me tell you, this is the extent of my grocery shopping in the US. Milk. Less than 5 items that I can put in a tote bag. Maybe we are short of milk and maybe short of coffee creamer. I can run quickly and go and grab it. That is the extent. But for me to grab a cart and pick this, pick tomatoes, pick pepper, pick apples, pick all this, I just don't have it in me. I will get bored easily. And then I'll start panicking. And then I'll start panicking. The next thing I'll FaceTime. Show me now what you want to make I buy. Now, this red apple you want, I mean a green apple. Now, this yellow pepper you want, which kind of onions? And then before you know what's happening, something that should have taken me 15 minutes ends up taking me 45 minutes because I'm lost in there. I don't know what to buy. So she handles most of the shopping in the house for us. Heartburn, low. You are doing psychology and sociology. Is that what I'm doing? Maybe. No. You and I have different ideologies. We will argue pleasantly. Is that for me or someone in the chats? All right. So let me get to this, guys. I'm going to tell you guys how I heard or how I received the news. So the year was 2020. The month was it May? Because my dad died 3 days before my birthday. My birthday is June 16th. My dad died June 13th. So it was in May of 2020. I was sitting at the house. Then we hadn't moved here to the property. We were living in a condominium at the time, just up the street from here, not too far. Watching television, just like any normal couple would be doing. It was me, Kate, and Jeanette at the time. Jeanette was about 18 months or 20 months old. So she wasn't even up to 2 years old at the time. And then I got a phone call out of the blue from a hospital. Sorry, I take that back. The call actually came a few days before, but because I didn't know the number, I did not answer the call. But the call, I just kept getting a call from the same number. They called a couple of times. They did not drop a message. And then they called again and left me a voicemail saying, oh, this is the hospital. I think it was like San Antonio Hospital because my dad died in San Antonio. Uh, I mean, I hope this is Rich in Barricades. We got your number from your dad. Your dad has been admitted to the hospital. It's very, very important for you to call us back because we worry that he may not make it. You see, had they just said, we are just calling, your dad was admitted, he's going to be okay, I would probably not have, I'll probably just maybe have ignored. But the last line was, it's important for you to call us back because we think, I'm paraphrasing now, that he may not make it. So I called the following day, hospital in San Antonio. And I spoke to somebody there who knew the matter. And they basically told me, hey, if it's possible for you to make your way down to San Antonio, we think you should do so because your father is not responding to commands. That was what they told me. I think the call was maybe on a Thursday. I hung up the phone, told my wife the situation, and we immediately booked a flight the next day to San Antonio. It wasn't planned. It wasn't in the book. It wasn't in the cards for us. But Kate said she wasn't going to let me go by myself. So she said, you know what? We're going to handle this as a family. Because of course, Kate knew the story, the backstory between me and my dad. And I told her, like, he may not make it. And she said, you know what? Let's just go as a family. So that was what happened. We booked a trip. It was a 4-day booking that we did. Because I think I booked it for Friday. I was going to arrive that Friday, spend Saturdays there, spend Sunday there, spend Monday there, and then maybe return that Monday evening. All I knew is just was a 4-day trip. So we booked the trip and ended up in San Antonio. Never been to San Antonio. Obviously, I grew up in Texas. I know Texas, but San Antonio wasn't a place that I've been to before. So we got to San Antonio. Remember, guys, this was during the pandemic when we were all still maxed up. We got to San Antonio, checked into the hotel, and then we drove to the hospital. But they wouldn't let Kate and my daughter in for fear of the coronavirus. They would have allowed me and Kate in, but they just did not want to risk having our daughter. So the option was just to have Kate return back to the hotel with Jeanette. And then I went into the hospital myself. And I walked into the room that they had my dad in, propped up, angled, 45-degree angle, propped up. And that was when the questions started, like, what happened? So apparently my dad had a stroke. And this had been ongoing for many, many years. And because of the estrangement, I didn't know the seriousness of it. But bottom line is, one of his neighbors called that was checking up on him, noticed that my dad was kind of behaving a little bit groggy. So they called 911. The ambulance came, took my dad from his apartment to the hospital. And the doctor told me that when he came in, he was active, he was alive, he was jovial. He actually shook my hand. And then when we admitted him, he just literally stopped responding. So my dad was in a comatose on a ventilator for about 2 or 3 days. Obviously, they will come in, they'll clean him up, but they had the tubes down his mouth. He was breathing through the assistance of the ventilator. He wasn't breathing by himself. So I walked into the room and I'm looking at my dad for the first time. And prior to that, I hadn't seen my dad in what God knows how many years? Maybe 12. Occasionally, you see him pop up on Facebook. You see, maybe that was it. So I hadn't seen my dad in 12, physically in 12 years until I saw him at the hospital. So the doctor said, Rich, unfortunately, we don't think he's going to recover. I'm not, what do you mean? At this point, what is keeping your dad alive is the ventilator. But we're going to need you to make a decision. I'm like, what is that? Well, we're going to need you to authorize us to stop the ventilator. And I'm like, well, doc, hold on one second. I have to tell you to disconnect the ventilator. And then what happens is that, well, if we disconnect the ventilator, your dad is going to pass away. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? See, it's not like I have experience in these things. He said, well, it's the ventilator that's keeping him alive. And I said, well, doc, what if I say no? And then the doctor said, well, if you say no, unfortunately, as doctors and as a hospital, we have to make that decision. We have to make that decision to remove him from the ventilator if you say no. So I had a decision to make. Either allow them to pull the plug or authorize them to pull the plug on the ventilator, or they have to do it themselves. So I said, okay, I would like to consult with you, doctor, for a second, if it's okay. He said, okay, no problem. So we went into a conference room and I took out my phone. Okay, active Dodger. My condolences. So I took out my phone and I put it on the conference room table. And I was sitting across from the doctor and his team. And on your phone, there's this recording thing, this app where you can actually record. So I pressed the app and I said, Doctor, just give me the rundown of everything that happened. And I hit record. And for the next 1 hour, the doctor told me everything that happened from the time that my father came into the hospital till that moment of me sitting across from him. Part of the reason I did that was because I wanted to know what happened. What kind of disease did he have? They broke it all down. They gave me my father's medical history. At the end of that conversation, I had all of the information that I needed to make a decision to tell them to turn off the ventilator. So we walked into the hospital, back into my dad's room, and I had to sign some documents authorizing them to disconnect the ventilator. When all of that was said and done, they came in, and I remember one of the nurses walked in. Mind you, remember, I'm there by myself. Oh. They started powering off the ventilator, powering it off. When they hit that last switch, let me tell you something. For the first time in my life, I saw somebody expire. My dad did not. There were times there was just like heavy breathing, heavy breathing, and then all of a sudden, just like that, you know, those, and then it just, And then one of the physicians that was there came in and checked my dad's pulse. And then he looked at me and said, and that was the end. So when that happened, then almost immediately, the funeral home, again, guys, hospital is a business. So they called the funeral home and they had 24 hours to remove my dad from the hospital, my dad's corpse from the hospital, and take it to the funeral home. So this whole thing happened, I believe, on a Saturday was when it happened. I mean, they cleaned out, they told me everything. So the funeral home people came, got my information. They said, okay, we're going to take it from here. We're going to transport your dad to the funeral home. And then we'll be in touch with you on next steps. And that was how my dad passed away. I was transported to the funeral home. And now, as you know, I got to make a decision now. What am I going to do? Are we going to bury my dad in America or are we going to bury my dad in Nigeria? I had already made up my mind that there was no way, with the connection that my dad had back home to his village, that I was going to do the funeral here in the United States. It just wasn't going to happen for me. So once that decision was made, then it became a decision of how are you going to transport a corpse from the United States to Nigeria during a pandemic? It wasn't possible. There was just no way. It was just too risky. Upon further consultation with people and the funeral home, we decided that the path forward, the best, the easiest path forward was cremation. If I was gonna take my dad home, he had to be cremated because no airline at that time was going to accept anything less than that. That was what we did. All this happened in literally 3 or 4 days tops because we had to be back home in Vegas to continue our life. So we did all of the paperwork. Obviously, you got to pay for it. You got to do. I think I've spent almost like maybe $2,000 or so just in San Antonio alone. And then when I got back to Las Vegas, obviously you stay in touch. You see, the hospital's part now is done. They've given me all of the. Oh, sorry. I've left something out. Remember, my dad had an apartment in San Antonio. So now I gotta go to my dad's apartment and clean it out and turn in the keys to management. All of these guys happened within literally 3 days. We got to San Antonio on Friday. We had to be back in Vegas on Monday. My dad at the time had a 1-bedroom apartment in San Antonio, Bexar County, San Antonio. So what did Kate and I do? Maybe it was just me and Kate. My sister was in Minnesota. My other, oh yeah, Nathan came. Nathan came from Tyler to support me in San Antonio. So he was part of that process. So then we began, because we didn't have the time to sell anything. So we just gave everything away for free. From the bed to literally every single property that my dad had is an apartment. We put it up on Facebook Marketplace and just donated it. What we couldn't give away for free were donated. So now what am I going to do about his truck? My dad had a Ford Ranger at that time. It was an older model Ford Ranger. What am I going to do? Where am I going to keep it? Fly my dad, fly my family back, and then drive the Ford Ranger to Texas. We gave that away too. Donated a truck. The only thing that I kept, all my dad's clothing given away, donated. Every food in the refrigerator thrown out. Literally, we had one day to get out of that apartment and turn the keys into the management. And then donated the car. It was paid off. Like I said, it was an older car, so we had the title in the glove compartments, thankfully. Donated that too. The only thing that I kept were sentimental things like pictures, and obviously my dad had a history of all of his medical bills and all that stuff, all of the Western Union. I'm going to get to that Western Union part. I did not know. And when I look back now, I start tying everything up. Why was it that majority of my family members on my dad's side, why didn't they intervene in the beef to try and reconcile my father and I? It was as a result, my father was taking care of everybody back home. So it would not have made sense for them to try and reconcile my dad and I, because I would have discovered everybody on the payroll, everybody that my dad, listen, one person, one individual alone had a Western Union receipt as thick as a phone book. One person. $5,000 in a 12-month period. Man, started putting two and two together. You see, it was not in their best interest. It was in their best interest, rather, to keep me away. Because I would have discovered this thing and I would have stopped it. So when I started pulling and I picked up on all of those financial statements and all that, I kept what I could. What didn't make sense, I discarded. And then I started my own forensics investigation now. Came home with a treasure trove of documents. Everybody that my father had given money to in the past 10 years, I knew about. Because that was how far back the documents I was able to collect. My dad's passport. This is my dad's US passport. And this is my dad's Nigerian passport. My dad's US passport, my dad's Nigerian passport. I want to show you why. So you don't think I'm mixing the two up. And this is my US passport, Nigerian passport. This is my dad's US passport and Nigerian passport. Got it all. So So we left San Antonio back to Texas. Sorry, back to Vegas now. And then so began the cremation process. They cremated my dad, and then they sent me the, was it urn? I don't know. It actually, no, it came in a box. My dad's ashes came in a box. That thing must have weighed like 10, 15 pounds. And then we had to transfer. Oh, boy, may I get her to? Then we had to transfer the ashes into an urn that I can travel with. And also, as far as like the travel goes, you have to obtain a travel permit to be able to transport human remains. I'm not sure where I got that from. I may have gotten it from the funeral home or may have gotten it from the hospital. Uh, or I don't know where I got it from. But anyway, what I know is this. I called before we booked my trip to Nigeria. I called Delta Airlines and I told them that I'll be transporting human remains in ash form on their airline because you have to let the airlines know. So I think it was Delta Airlines that informed me that I'm going to need a permit. It's like a special permit. I don't know what it's called. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, before you go, they will also issue you a death certificate. You need that. You are going to need that, especially in Nigeria, because now, oh, but this one will be 10 hours. But they are going to issue you, I can't find it in my drawer, a death certificate. And I had to sign for that death certificate. Because that was what I now started using to be able to dig deeper into my father's finances. I started digging deeper to see if he had any investments or stocks. Because before any of this is issued out, they're gonna need a copy, not even a copy, they're gonna need the original death certificate with my signature on it. What is death certificate here? Because I want to show you guys kind of like what it looks like. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I want to block out some. So this is what the death certificate looks like. Original. With your signature. So I called the airline. And the airline said, not a problem, but you are going to need to obtain a special travel documentation that you're transporting human remains and this and that. And I think it was a funeral home that issued it. I had to pay, I think it was like $25 to obtain that particular travel permit. So this was all I needed to be able to go to Nigeria with my dad's ashes. And then comes informing the family back in Nigeria on what's going to go down. Obviously, when my father died, when my dad was in the hospital, I contacted my uncle, the one in the oil and gas industry that I've always talked about on this platform. He was the only responsible one. He was the only one out of all of them that's not hungry. Everybody else is hungry. So I basically told my uncle, the one in the oil and gas industry, very also, why did I tell him? Because he was very close to my dad. I said, this is what's going to go down. My dad died in November. I knew that the burial had to happen that year. I didn't want to prolong it because I'm telling you guys, my mind was fucked up. People were coming at me from all sorts of direction. You remember my father had properties in Nigeria that his brothers were living in. Everybody was just coming at me from also because everybody was confused. They didn't know what I was going to do. But I'm like, go deal with una one by one. Make I just finish this burial. See everybody on that list. I go deal with una one by one. So when I stopped grieving, although my grief wasn't didn't last long, my grief maybe lasted a week. And I decided, okay, we're gonna go. I'm gonna work with my uncle in the oil and gas sector to see how we're gonna plan this. And then I involve one of my other uncles. I have like two top guys in Nigeria there. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fly in November of 2020. I'm going to book my trip for a month. It's probably going to take me 2 weeks to do the whole burial ceremony and all that stuff. And then I have 2 weeks to deal with all of you. Now, it's time to travel. So I got everything that I need. I got the urn with the ashes. I got the birth certificate. I got the travel permits to be able to transport human remains. I got all that. And you'll be asking, well, Rich, where did you put the urn? Did you check it in or did you carry it in your carry on? You see, you can't check in an urn. It must be carried on your person. So that urn traveled with me inside of my carry-on suitcase. And every time that I went through TSA, you got to let the person know. Well, the US side TSA, not so much because they're going to. So when my suitcase went through the scanner, they saw it. They're gonna see it, and then they're going to flag you. So I was flagged. Test. So I was flagged at the TSA in Vegas, and then they started going through my bag. I'm like, oh, that's my dad. Uh, and here's my travel permits to be able to carry. American TSA, no issue. Oh, condolences. Have a safe trip. I didn't face any problems in the US side. But when I enter Nigeria, oh my God. I cleared the airport in Nigeria. And then I took a ride. I think it was my uncle was in Lagos at that time, the oil and gas guy. He was the one who gave me a ride to the Muritala Mohammed airport. Oh, but now their problems start to. So I'm on Ibum Air. Checking in, of course, I checked in my carry-on, my checked-in bag was checked in. And then when it was time for them to look through my carry-on suitcase, and they saw a urn in there, this lady just screamed, ah, what is this? What is this? I'm like, here is the travel certificate that I have to transport this urn with ashes inside. Ah, now dead body be this, so now dead body be this. She puts on a performance worthy of a Tony Award. Part of me was embarrassed. The other part of me wanted to slap the shit out of her. But I had a mission, so I maintained my cool. I'm like, make I don't let make I don't let this rubbish derail me. Because I only had one more flight before I got to Akwa Ibom, to you. She put on a show worthy of an Oscar. And I said, listen, all right, is your supervisor here? She said, yes. I said, go and get your supervisor. She went in and got the supervisor. I'm like, listen, this is who I am. Um, you're going to either let me fly or you are not going to let me fly. This is the documentation from the US side permitting me, authorizing me that I can safely transport this urn with my father's ashes inside. So what are you going to do? Supervisor, okay. Uh, but you can't carry it inside the plane. You have to go and check it in your luggage. I'm like, okay, no problem. If that's what it takes, let's go back down. So I went back down. Then they recalled my checked in luggage. And then I had to move the urn from my carry on into the checked in luggage. That was how I was able to fly. So I landed at Uyo International Airport. And then I went to the village. And I checked into well, no, because at that time, my father's property in the village, the one that I occupy now, was only about 30% livable. So I spent time at the hotel. I stayed at Wattsbridge Hotel in New York. You guys should check it out if you guys like it. If you're in, it's a three to 4 star hotel. And then so begin the burial process. Remember, I gave myself 2 weeks. Then I got with my uncles. If you are going to bury anybody in the village, you have to notify the village head. We had to go and settle those guys 20,000. And then we had to set a date that it was going to happen. And then you had to get in touch with the church because my dad didn't belong to any church in Nigeria. So my uncle in Uyo helped me and we talked to some pastor or something like that. He said, okay, we're going to do it, but we need 50K. So we got the village head, we notified the village head, we settled them. Then we got the church people and settled them. And then the planning began. One of my dad's closest friends that lives here in Ohio donated a cow. I'm giving you guys expenses now. If you're asking how much, Rich, did it cost you to bury your dad in 2020? 750,000 naira. Tops, I'll give you 1 mil. Tops. Because my father's friend donated a cow. That was, at that time, cows were like maybe 250. It's not now that cows are 1 point something. So I crossed that out. No need for a cow. But I had to hire a caterer to come in and cater. Because I didn't know how many people were going to show up. Because in Niger village burial, you invite 20 people, the entire village and the following village shows up. But anyway, fast forward, we had to buy, yes, it was in an urn, but we had to buy a casket. Because you're going to put the urn inside of the casket and lower the casket onto the ground. That was what they advised me to do. So the date was planned. Church was involved. Village head has been notified. Location has been picked. I was going to bury my dad on his property. Then we hired the boys in my homestead, were the ones that came and dug the grave. You got to buy like food and rice and goods and chicken and all that stuff. We got all that. Invitations were sent out. And then the burial day was, I think, November 20th or so? I'm telling you, it went without a hitch. We did everything that we were supposed to do. The church people came in and did their rites. The village head came. The uh, the caterer did their thing. And my friends also, because remember I went to boarding school, so that was a good time in the village there. So that was a good time for me to actually reconnect with all my boys that I went to boarding school with. So they all came. Some of my boys from Lagos even showed up. It was a fun burial. People came, everybody ate. My thing was, it would be a failure if anyone left hungry. Some people even had thirds. Everybody came. It was fun. We did it. We had a DJ, they played through the night. And then the following day, everybody went home. And I was able to relax a little bit, knowing that I brought him home. Amidst all the drama, amidst all of the estrangement, I brought him home to rest. And then I started dealing with the family. I gave myself a couple of days, went back to relax, and I said, no, Barry, I don't finish. Go and look at my archives and search Rich Barricade Watt Bridge. I was in the pool chilling. The Barry, I don't finish. Now, you are going to explain to me what you are doing on my father's property. You're going to explain to me why you've been cultivating on my dad's farmland. You're going to explain all that. Oh boy, that's why I hire Elizabeth too. Shark lawyer there in Uyo. Oh, you see this property? Serve them. You see that property? Serve them. You see that property? Serve them. Everybody was just begging, Rich, please, whatever. As for where? Listen, the Mr. Barakat era has finished. The Rich Barakat era has started. There's a new sheriff in town. But Rich, you know fear. You've been devil. Me? Bro, I took off my civilian cap and I put on my military cap and I started dealing with them one by one. Now so then scatter like roaches. Everybody was just coming. I used to take care of him when you're a kid. Okay, you used to. Thank you. But you gotta go. It took me 2 weeks to reconcile all of my father's assets because I was ready to deal with anybody, family member or no family member, anybody who would have crossed me. I was ready to deal with them. Since then, till today, see respect. Because I had to go and stake my claim and just let them know that there's a new sheriff in town. Did all my thing. reconciled all of my properties, kicked everybody out. That house, that mansion that you see in my photos, somebody was living there. Get the fuck out. He allowed. I no one hear that one. Let me tell you something. My mama no fit live with me. The only people that I'm sharing a roof with are the people behind me. If all hell goes down today, I will prefer to buy a piece of land and build a little bit of a one-bedroom house for my mom. Nobody lives with me. So if my own mother can't live with me, you, maybe my papa brother, no fit live for my house. My house in the village is under lock and key. Nobody lives there while I'm in the United States. You know what? Make the house fall down if you won't fall down. Nobody live there. Let it mold up. Listen. When I'm going home, I'll fix what I can. It's not as if I live there permanently, but nobody lives there. Because here's what happens when you allow that to happen. They'll start depending on you for food. They are sick. It's you that they'll call. They'll create liabilities for you. Let's say something happens. Somebody comes into that house and falls and injures themselves. It's your fault. They'll bring all of their energies and all of their problems. That was how I was able to do that successfully. So maybe you are like me, or maybe your parents just don't care. Maybe they've just told you. I think Laja said that his dad died in New York and he buried him in New York. You see, burying your parents in Nigeria is not a must. You can literally bury them in the United States if you choose to. But it was just as a result of that history that I gave you, that connection with my father and back home. A lot of things happened thereafter. That was also what led me to fully reconnect with Nigeria again in 2020 till today, going on 2026. I'll close with this. Nigeria is good to me. Nigeria happened to me. That's the end. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, because I am not a Niger burial consultant, just so you guys know. It's just a story that I've shared. It's doable. Maybe your parents don't want to go home. In Active's case, of course, he did the right thing. He brought his dad for treatment, and the moment that they gave that time frame, they had to relocate his dad back home, who passed away. So, Active Dodger, I hope your story was is not as dramatic as mine, and I'm glad that you didn't have to go through what I had to go through. But I'm pretty sure you did the right thing to honor your dad. So I'm going to talk to CJ here. Say that. What ideologies are you talking about, CJ, if you are still on? He was given 6 weeks, so there was an urgency to get him home. Good, good, good. Where did you bury him, Active? Sure thing. Sure thing. You're welcome. I looked up the process and they advised that the destination embassy be contacted. Okay. So for me, I did not contact the embassy. You see, the Nigerian consulate was not involved in transporting my dad's remains back home. They weren't. But maybe had it been that I was transporting a body, a full body, I may have to notify them. But in this case, it was the ashes that I transported. So they weren't notified at all. They didn't have to. And I had like I said, I had everything. And I know I didn't go further into my activities in Nigeria as far as like checking on my dad's bank account in Nigeria, which I did. But I needed that death certificate to be able to access anything in Nigeria. So I still have everything with me, all of my father's documents, all of my, like I showed you guys, my father's passports, everything is here. And maybe one day I'll probably put together a little museum um, in my home uh, in honor of my dad, at least in honor of the positive, the good parts. We had a decent relationship when I was a kid. It was just that, man, at some point he took his eyes off the ball, and then what happened went down. But I still have my dad's photographs. I have a huge photo library of him. My dad. Oh, you see this? This is Ikpi. I first saw this thing when I was 12 years old. When I came to the United States at 12, this Ikpe was purchased by my dad in Calabar. Look, great condition, isn't it? Look at that. This is authentic handmade. So I grew up in Texas with this thing. This, I don't know what you want to call it. It's not a toy, it's an art, or whatever you want to call it, art. And then when I was cleaning up my dad's apartment in Texas, this was there sitting on the mantle. And I brought it back and it's been sitting on my mantle. So this thing is what? I'm 47 years old. 47 minus 12, for all you math head. How many years did that? 47 minus 12, 35 years old. They don't make them like that anymore. So I found this, and yes, when I was 12, this was on I literally grew up on this on our mantle. So I'm just happy to kind of have this in me, man. And hopefully, my children will probably take it and put it somewhere. But yeah, it's just beautifully done, guys, from Calabar. This is the authentic, original one. Obviously, see Jeanette there and all that stuff. So this sits like this. Yeah. 35. Thank you. 35 years old, Ikpi. Purchased in Cross River State when I was a kid. And it may be even older, but I saw it for the first time when I was 12 years old in Texas. And my father, it must have meant something to my dad to have held on to it for that long. Just think about that for a second. It must have meant something because it's the same one. As soon as I saw, I'm like, this thing. So I'm glad that I get to feature Ikpi in our YouTube podcast, for those who may be wondering. And this right here is you guys know I'm a pilot now. You guys know that I fly. When I can, I fly. So this is my headset for the Cessna. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to get my private pilot's license. And then occasionally, when I used to work on the road in Utah, Colorado, I used to take flying lessons. So I just bought this beautiful flight headphones, but I'm gonna pick it up. That's actually one of my goals in 2026 is to pick up my is to pick up my my flight classes again. and start working towards obtaining my private pilot's license. That's what I want to do. I just want to get a small plane and just fly around. Maybe if I want to go to California, I fly there. I want to go to maybe Colorado, I'll fly there on my own. So that's the goal. 2026, I'm going to try. It's going to be hard though because of everything that's going on. But we'll see what happens, especially now that I'm full time, working on our business. I'm full time now. So I have a little bit of time that I can put back into taking flight classes again on the Cessnas. Okay. Yes, that's a masquerade. You're right. Active Dodger. Yep. Yep. Well built too. Well made masquerade. Yeah. From Calabar. But anyway, guys, hope that story was entertaining and educational for you. I really appreciate all of you. CJ needs to come and explain to me the ideologies, the different ideologies that we have. If not for Nigeria, we for don't make CJ third wife. Jesus. Oh man. Oh, but all those wife. Did was it this Ned Nwoko who went on TV and said that he feels sorry for anybody with one wife? Ned Nwoko that has like 5 wives and 50 kids. I don't understand how the guy does it. He said, my grandfather married 5 wives and had my dad used to joke that he has 24 siblings, but he only knows of 16. That's one of the jokes in our family. So my grandfather married 5 wives and had 16 children that we know of. And my dad used to always joke that, man, there's like 24 of them out there. And then my dad did exactly what his father did and married multiple wives as well and had 4 kids. But me, I'm glad that I broke the curse though, guys. You guys, you can break the cycle. I broke my family cycle. 1 wife, 2 kids. No more wives for me, no more kids for me. I broke it. The love cycle. I don't think my grandfather ever told my father he loved him. And in return, my dad didn't tell me he loved me until I was older. My mom has never told me she loved me. I broke that cycle as well. It's possible. Fascinating story. Thanks for sharing and sorry for your loss. You as well, active. All right. Hey, guys, I got to get going. I really appreciate all of you guys. Please like, share, and comment. If you like content like this, you're interested in US, Nigeria investing, consider subscribing. We are almost at 19,000 subscribers. My goal in a week, honestly, I know this is possible. I want to hit 20,000 subscribers by December 31st, guys. So I know it's possible. How can that be possible? Share everything. Share the channel to people you think might like what we are about. Anyone interested in joining our community? I 100% know. I know that by maybe the next couple of days or so, we will cross 19,000 subscribers, which gives us 6 days to hit 20,000. So that's the goal. But I want to roll into January 1st, 2026 with 20,000 subscribers. The majority of you who are watching, you are not actual subscribers. You watch, but you're not subscribed. So subscribe. Tell everybody you know to subscribe. If they're interested in investments, content, business, real estate, exports, sometimes politics, sometimes current affairs, and sometimes personal stories like this. This is where you want to be. All right. So Active Dodger, I appreciate you. CJ, as always, I appreciate you. Laja, as always. Hey, Laja, are you interested in joining the January 3rd panel? Saturday, January 3rd. I don't know if you're still on. But if you are, let me know. Active Dodger, you as well. If you want to join the panel on January 3rd, let me know. You're going to be in good company. It's going to be live on YouTube. You guys can just go to mbereket.com or check my links and just message me or WhatsApp me if you want to, so I can get you guys signed up for it. Okay? All right, guys. Nice talking to you guys. All the best. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, because tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. All the best. Gotta run.